Now, the highest point of Carthage, which knew the most ferocious battle, the final one between the Romans and the Carthaginians. This is called the Birsa Hill, which was a little higher, about 6 meters. And the Romans were so cruel after a siege of 3 years of this great city that many Carthaginians preferred to commit suicide in the flames rather than to surrender to the Romans.
Strategically, can you talk about where we are? Because we're certainly overlooking a high point onto the sea, and in the history of the Mediterranean and the naval importance, what can you say about, share with that, why Carthage became so important?
Yeah, behind me you see what is now called the Gulf of Tunis, what the Romans called the Gulf of Utica. Carthage was founded by the Phoenicians from Lebanon in 814 BC. It was a port of call on the way to Spain, from which they imported tin. As you know, in that time we are in the, after the late Bronze Age, and in order to produce bronze you need copper and tin. So we are facing Sicily from here, which is about 80 miles, and anybody who could control both Sicily and this part of North Africa could lock the Mediterranean and split it in two. So this is what the Phoenicians did. They founded Carthage here in the very middle of the Mediterranean. So here we are in front of a dig which was done in the mid-70s, early 80s, which revealed a sector of houses from Carthage, which were built around 200 BC. When we say 200 BC, it's exactly the time of the very famous Hannibal, who conducted wars against the Romans in Italy and later in Africa. These houses were leveled by the Romans in the final war against Carthage in 146 BC. These digs, which were scientifically conducted, really changed our understanding of the Punic Carthage, because this archaeology of Carthage suffered from stereotypes, considering that all the additions to the architecture of Africa were brought by the Romans. Here in these houses we find mosaics which go back to 200 BC, techniques of building walls, houses with courtyards. All these go back to the time of Carthage, and some other parts of the city revealed the same features from the 5th century BC. All these influenced later the Roman architecture of Africa. So what you see behind me is different sequences of Carthage. As you know, Carthage started with the Phoenicians, then the Punic, then Roman, Vandal, Byzantine. When the Romans leveled the town, and we know from Polybius that took them about 7 days and 7 nights to burn all the city and slave the surviving people, they dumped the city, and a century later they built on top. So these, which look like pillars, in fact these were Roman foundations in the Roman dirt they dumped over the foot of the hill in order to install on top Roman columns. So you have in fact a sequence of layers. You have beneath houses which go back to 146 when they were BC, when they were leveled, and foundations which came a century later when Julius Caesar and his successor Augustus decided to rebuild Carthage in 46 BC. So behind me here you have a room in the Museum of Carthage which shows samples from the discoveries done in total Carthage. Mosaics, reliefs which were decorating the public square in this hill. Artifacts from Carthaginian tombs, some go back to the 8th century BC up to 2nd BC, and many Roman artifacts which were mostly found in tombs like cremation urns made of glass or pottery or lead.
Can you comment at all about the wealth of mosaics in Tunisia in general?
The art of mosaics was already started in Carthage in the 5th century BC. The Romans will introduce the Greek way of decorating the floors and walls by figuring pictures, which was not known before by the Carthaginians. But the artisans here already got the skill to make very flat floors with little chips. And in fact, mosaics are a recycling of materials and there are rugs made of stone that were washable. We are in a very hot country, so it was needed to clean and wash these floors, which can maintain the interiors very, very cool. So here in Tunisia, very simply, we have the biggest collection of Roman mosaics in the world.